Once you've created your parent account in Sycamore Final Forms, the next step in registering your child is to add them to your account. You will need to go back to Final Forms and sign in to the account you've created. So you can easily get there by going back to www.sycamoreschools.org, that's our Sycamore homepage, and clicking Final Forms. When you get there, you will have the choice of logging in, creating a new account, logging in as a student or a staff member. You're going to choose to just log in. In doing so, you want to use the email address that you used to create your Final Forms account and the password that you set up when you confirm that account. When you log in, it will take you to My Students. Here's where you will add students to the account. Now, this will need to be done every time you register a new student in Sycamore Schools. Initially, you may only have one student-age child, but in subsequent years, you may need to come back here and add additional children. Now, in regards to the registration process, there's more here than what might meet the eye. When you register the child, you will be completing some forms online, which are very important. But you will also be required, when you're registering a brand new student, to create your account, your child's account, and print forms out that you will then take to the registrar's office to complete the registration process. And it's very important that all of that is done, or it will merely slow down that registration process. So let's begin by registering or adding a student to my account. I click register, and I'm going to create this fictitious student. Name, preferred name, student email. Now, initially, in registering a brand new student to Sycamore Schools, the student will not have a Sycamore email address, and that's fine. You can always come back later and add that email address. That address will be created once the child is formally registered. You don't need that to initially go through the process of registration. And that email address will be the student's number, the student number at sycamoreschools.org. And you'll come back and put that in once that's established. Now, the email address for the younger children, there really is no need to worry about that at this time, because there'll be no forms that student has to actually sign off on. However, if you're registering a child that is grades 7 through 12 and they are playing sports, it's extremely important that you ultimately come back and add the Sycamore student email address, because the child will be required to access information in Final Forms and sign off on information in order to play sports. But again, that would be 7th through 12th graders. Now, as we progress through, we're going to add the birthday of the child, the gender. Now, if you're missing something that is required, you won't even be able to register the child. It will flag you and you'll have to go back and fix things. So that's one nice piece of this. The home address. And then special circumstances, transferring from sports. This becomes very important with the email address, as I just said. Homeschool. And then once you have that information, you're agreeing that, yes, this is your child, you create the student. So now student was successfully created, and it's going to say, now what building will the child be attending? I'm going to go in and I'll say this particular building, and I submit. Now the student has been created, and we're going to, in the next video tutorial, talk about the forms that you need to complete to continue the process of registering your child in Sycamore Schools.